Hey, how are you guys doing tonight? I hope you're doing amazing. So we're back, and I'm going to be working on Echoes of the Cosmic Veil. Of course, it's book one. We've actually already wrote the entirety of the book all the way through, and actually live streamed everything from the brainstorming up to the second revision. I took a small break and now we're back at it again. I'm going to be hitting up chapter 2 tonight. It's not as long of a chapter as normal, and normally we will be doing this early in the morning. And so, real quick, I will get chat up so I can see what's going on and visit with y'all. I hope you all are having a great night. I'm having an amazing weekend so far. Of course, normally this will be early in the morning. I just literally, my schedule was thrown off a little bit today. And so the plan is that in the mornings for the next, I guess this would be the second day today. So for the next about 60 or so days, we're just going to write like crazy in the morning. This book obviously will be done way before that. And so I have another idea for a different book that as soon as we wrap this one up will be a lot more fun as a break between when I come back at it, we brainstorm and do book two of this series. And so overall, we have some big plans and stuff. If you're new to the channel, please like and subscribe. Outside of that, let's get going. I'm using the program Novel Crafter. I haven't enabled AI, so we are actually writing and not just AIing our way through. Chapter 1 is done. There's a couple little things that maybe I would change, but they're not instrumental in any capacity. So, Sam just had... my God, I just went blank spaced. His girlfriend, and now I'm trying to remember her name. It's been that long since we touched this book. Well, basically, Sam's girlfriend decided that she was still... Elena. Thank God. Elena is moving forward with her life. She's going to leave the space station and go planet side. Sam's kind of still partying in Iraq, and in the previous night had went out with his buddy to score some drugs, ended up meeting up with her and her friend, hooking up with them, and that was a one last goodbye throwdown basically experience. Okay, so in chapter 2, right, we already know Sam is still all up about Elena. So I quickly got myself around to take a shower and gather my thoughts. The water flowing over me was rejuvenating. I stood there thinking about Elena moving away. Elena moving away, and what it really meant. We like the wording on that, not really. And do we want to change anything here? How was it rejuvenating? Okay, so this is how we're going to change this. This is going to be a big change, and you're going to see how this is going to change it. And I might not like it. Let's just be honest. I'm trying to adjust where my mic is so we can write, because the keyboard's kind of in a position that likes to be where the mic is in the way. Okay. I quickly got myself around to take a shower and gather my thoughts. The water flowing over me was cool. Oh wait, we already have rejuvenating. Why am I rewriting it? Okay, let's see if we like this. We might not. We have to break this up, I think, now. I quickly got myself around to take a shower and gather my thoughts. Let's period it at that and keep this a little simpler. Think I'm about to overcomplex the sentences and we have no need of that right this second. Let's keep it happy. The water flowing over me. Ooh, let's change this. Okay. The cool water flowing over me was rejuvenating as it. Ooh, see? What are we doing here? Washed the grime from my body. Yeah, I don't know if we need that. Let's see. As obviously he would be washing, it wouldn't. Boom. Okay, I think we got this. Prepare yourselves, guys. I mean, like, trying to watch the chat at the same time. Okay, I quickly got myself around to take a shower and gather my thoughts. The cool water flowing over me was rejuvenating as I washed the grime from the previous night from my body. I stood there watching the water go down the drain, thinking about Elena moving away and what it really meant. The galaxy was big, and for the most part, once someone. Let's see, do we need a comment here? And for the most part. Comma. I think we need a comma there. And for the most part, once someone moved away, you almost never. Okay, yeah, that's. Worst thing is, I knew she had made the best choice for herself. Oh, by leaving. Okay, let's double check this. Looking good so far. I knew how far. Let's not make it all about ourselves. Let's look at this. We know Diorius, right? Dorius is the place. We have a codex, which is super handy, you guys. Where's the space station? There. Dorian space station had less and less people. And with sorry, I misspelled that horribly. We'll fix that real quick. Doria space station had less and less people, and with that, less and less opportunity. How are we gonna? So basically, the horse have slipped back away. Um, mm, Very hard to know what to do here. So the horrors, of course, after they came and destroyed everything and wiped everything out, have slowly vanished away. And so people are starting to move back onto the planets and stuff like that. Okay. Okay, hold on. I'll fix some stuff. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, now let's read this. See if we like it. Okay. I quickly got myself around to take a shower and gather my thoughts. The cool water flowing over me was rejuvenating as I washed the grime. Do we want grim or grime? Grim or grime? Are they the same word? From the previous night from my body. I stood there watching the water go down the drain, thinking about Elena moving away and what it really meant. The galaxy was big, and for the most part, once someone moved away, you almost never saw them again. Worst thing is, I knew she had made the best choice for herself by leaving. Dioria's space station had less and less people, and with that, less and less opportunity. After the horrors went back to wherever they had came from, people started taking the opportunity to resettle the planets again. Um, okay, now it seemed. How are we going to say this? Elena's totally done with everything, right? We already know that. We're just adding a little bit of extra stuff in here, some spice in there, right? Now it seemed Elena. Okay, let's see if this is good. I think we might have it. Who knows? Okay, I quickly got myself around to take a shower and gather my thoughts. The cool water flowing over me was rejuvenating as I washed the grime. I'm really bugged by that. From the previous night from my body. I stood there, watching the water go down the drain, thinking about Eleni moving away and what it really meant. The galaxy was big, and for the most part, once someone moved away, you almost never saw them again. Worst thing is, I knew she had made the best choice for herself by leaving. Dioria's space station had less and less people, and with that, less and less opportunity. After the horrors went back to wherever they had came from, people started taking the opportunity to resettle the planets again. Now it seemed Elena was ready to move on as well, not just from the situation, but me as... Oh, no. Not only the situation, but any chance at... And we'll go like that. Ooh, that's good. Now it seemed Elena was ready to move on as well, not just from the station. Let's call it Dorios. Dorios. Door. Okay, I'm gonna say that that's reasonable. Now it seemed Elena was ready to move on as well. Not just from Dioria's space. Let's call it what it is, space station. But any chance of us. Okay, I like it. I knew how far I... Okay. I knew how far I had fell. Okay, I knew how far I had fell and how broke I was since quitting my job. I had only... I don't like how I worded this. I had only the occasional odd gig to make credits. I could only find the occasional odd gig to make credits, none of them paying very well. Okay, that's awesome. We know that that's reasonable, right? Is that good? I mean, I'm not really sure, so let's hope it is, right? It looks like it is. Okay. Often providing just enough credits to get some cheap food and pay off my fronts. I did want to get myself together and had been planning. Okay, I did want to get myself together and had been planning to, eventually. The eventually was now. Okay, the eventually was now, though. Okay. Okay, so we got this now. The eventually was now, though, and I knew I needed to... That is quit. Yeah, that's quit. Okay. I didn't want to be saying quiet my life. That eventually was now, though, and I knew I needed to sober up and quit messing up my life. I made a plan to score a good amount of bliss and have one last big hurrah, then go totally sober. I thought about who all I wanted to... Wait. I thought about who all. See, boom. I thought about who all I wanted to hang out. See, this is why you do this. I thought about who all I wanted to hang out with, especially knowing it was going to be the last time getting high. I didn't have enough credits to pay off the previous front, but that had never stopped me from coming up with some way of scoring before. I knew someone would want to hook up with enough to cover my front, which would allow me to get another front from what they wanted. Okay. I might have made this too complicated of a thing for no reason. Hold on one second. Let me read through this. I knew someone would want to hook up with enough to cover my front. Not cover. Pay back. My previous front, which would allow me to get another front for what they wanted, and most likely a little something for myself. That makes sense. I had a few friends. Okay, I had a few friends that would likely have the credits, but the most likely was am I even in the right tense right now? It's late at night, guys, so I'm having to focus. I did not have enough credits. That's a current. I did not have. I knew. Okay. But the most likely would be Zach and Sarah. Okay. And then we're going to pull this back onto this. Actually, we're going to do this. Boom. 1, 2. And then we're going to separate this. One. 1. Boom. 1, 2. Let's see if this makes sense. I had a few friends that would likely have the credits, but the most likely would be Zach and Sarah. Sarah had been my friend for a couple years before. Okay. Sarah had been my friend for a couple of years. Before I introduced her to Zach. But as soon as they met. Okay, I don't like this for some reason. Sarah had been my friend for a couple years. Oh, this is just not good. Sarah had been my friend for a couple years before I introduced her to Zach. That's simple. Let's keep it that way. To my pleasant shock, as soon as they met, they became inseparable. Zach and Sarah had their own addictions, including this, but managed to keep themselves together, staying employed and maintaining an almost normal life. They had been dating for the last 2 years and were planning to get contracted to each other through marriage once they managed. Okay. Boom. Oh, no, let's leave it the way it was. I apologize, guys. Sometimes I think I'm fixing stuff and I'm just. They planned on dating. Wait. They had been dating the last 2 years and were planning. Did I make sure that that temporally stayed logical? I don't even know. They had been dating for the last 2 years and were planning on getting contracted to each other through marriage once they managed to save the required credits. Sarah was a healer, allowing her to work in the arcane district of the station. Zach worked as a personal trainer, often slinging a little. I think people understand and love to work out use. Oh. We'll fix this. Okay. Oh. I know what I was doing there. Oh, Zach worked out using Amber to push himself and maximize his gains. Sarah would often heal Zach to counter. Or is it counteract as a single thing? Okay. To counteract some of the damage he would do during his intensive workouts. Sarah would often heal Zach to counteract. Okay. I'm not loving that right this second, so I'm just kind of looking at it. Sarah would often heal Zach to counteract some of the damage. Let's just say it direct. To counteract the damage, he would. Counteract the damage from his intensive workouts, allowing him to recover faster. Boom, we fixed it. After Sailor would heal Zach, they would often use a little bliss to relax themselves. Out of all the people I knew, I liked them the most. Ooh. Yeah, let's leave it like that. And they were the most likely to have the credits to pay off my front from Trag. I like that. That's happy. We like how that turned out. Short little paragraph in here. I arrived at the section of the space station quicker than I had expected, not providing enough time to fully think out how I would ask them for the credits to pay off the front, or if I would have just approached them with an offer to go score. I messaged them. Wait. Okay, you know what? Let's change this. Copy. Don't worry. Now I gotta find out where we were again. We don't need this part on here. This is gone. Boom. Oh. Okay, as I okay. As I arrived in the front, not the front, at the front or to the front. I, as I arrived at the front of the well, as I walked up As I walked up to the well-maintained complex, I made my way to the guest console. Okay, now we can get rid of that. The smell's coming from the building. I think we decided that these guys live in a specific quarter. And let me just double check. Let me check in Zach and stuff. Magical healing, blah, blah, blah. Cooking. Where's Sarah's data? Okay. What is that called? Hold on, I'm trying to think of. Okay, there. We now know that they live in the alchemical and botanical. Okay, so let's fix this. Change place, blah blah. Oh, where we go? Oh, we went back, guys. Sorry about that. Okay, I arrived at their section of the space station quicker than I expected, not providing enough time to fully think out how I would ask them for the credits to pay off the front, or if I would just approach them with an offer to go score. As I walked up to the front of the well-maintained complex, I made my way to the guest console, where I messaged them. The smells coming from the um, buildings in the oh, we'll fix the spelling in a second. It's too late to care about that right now. Whew. Pleasant surprise. Yeah, too many P's, of course. I like to throw in too many of stuff all the time. Boom. How we roll. The smells coming from the buildings in the botanical and alchemical corridor of the station were always a pleasant surprise. Station. Okay. The smells coming from the building in the botanical and alchemical quarter of the station where Sarah and Zach lived were always a pleasant, complex surprise, and today was no different. Boom. Let's get this fixed. Let's see if that actually works. Boom. One, two. Okay. The guest console as Zach. Let's just go like this. I don't even know what the crap. We don't need that crap. Just get rid of that. One, two. Zach quickly appeared in the console display saying, "Come up." When I walked into Zach and Sarah's, the smell was amazing. Sarah was always cooking up some oh. Sarah was always cooking up. Well, let's check this out. When I walked into, let's call it Sarah and Zach's. Let's switch it out, right? Okay. As I walked into Sarah and Zach's, the aroma of the delicious meal being cooked hit me. Sarah was always cooking up. Do we want? Okay. As I walked into Sarah and Zach's, the aroma of the delicious meal being cooked hit me. Sarah was always cooking up amazing food while Zach worked out. Sarah yelled, "You're just in time. I'm making my famous teriyaki shish kebabs. It's home systems food." Oh my god, am I tired. They were always willing to hang out and often having fresh meals. Okay. Don't really feel that that helps. This right here. Okay, I think we've got this. Ready? I was super grateful to have Sarah and Zach in my life. They were always willing to hang out and often often having a fresh meal to share. Okay, we're going to leave that because I like it. Let's get this baby done. I sat down. Okay, I sat down to get a moment and gather my thoughts. I sat down. Watch this. I tongue tied. I sat down, gathering my thoughts for a Okay, I sat down, gathering my thoughts for a moment. I knew I would be better off starting out. I knew I'd be better off starting out with small talk, but had not fully thought out what to say. I knew I knew it would be better starting off with small talk, but had not fully thought out what to say. Lucky for me, Zach, without hesitate. I mean, do we want to say without hesitating or without wasting time? Zach, without wasting any time at all, asked, "Do you think you might be able to score?" I was relieved and quickly replied yes, as I had not yet came up with a plan on how to approach asking for the credits. Zach asked, "Think you'd be able to get some bliss and some amper from your guy?" Luckily, I had only fronted enough to have a good time, knowing I would have trouble gathering enough credits to pay it off. Ooh. Trying to think if I don't like that to the level that we need to change it immediately, or if it's that we kind of look at this a little bit in the morning too and make sure I don't dislike it, because it's late at night and I don't want to be getting lazy and all of a sudden then we don't fix something that should have got fixed. I mean, like, granted, I am going to read through this again before I publish it all of a sudden, but you know what I mean? Let's try to fix something. Okay. Okay, think. Oh. Let's look at this. Think you would be able to get some bliss and amper from your guy. That's normal. Luckily, lucky for me, I had only fronted enough to have a good time. Okay, lucky for me, I had only fronted enough to have a good time, knowing I would have trouble gathering together the credits to pay it off. Okay, knowing I would have trouble getting together the credits to pay it off. I asked Zach how much he wanted. And it was more. Okay, I asked Zach how much he wanted, and it was more than I expected. I let him know how much it would be, plus a little extra. Zach walked over to his desk and pulled up his account. Here, I'm transferring the credits to your account, Zach replied. I looked at the amount Zach had transferred, enough to pay off my front and pay for most of what he was wanting, so I would just get a front for the rest. Let's look at this really right, because I didn't like that at all. I looked at the amount Zach had transferred, enough to pay off. Okay, I looked at the amount Zach had transferred to my account. It was enough to pay off my front and pay for most of what he was wanting. Boom. One. I would just get a front for the rest. Get. Okay. Food's ready, proclaimed Sarah as she placed a tray of shish kebabs. Oh, yeah. I'm not used to the word shish kebabs. I'll just be honest. I should eat them more often. They're delicious. Okay, food's ready, proclaimed Sarah as she placed the tray of shish kebabs down in front of me to eat. I sat enjoying the food, and after not eating for more than a little while, I sat enjoying the food. I don't know what I was trying to say there. It makes no sense. I sat enjoying the food. I sat enjoying the food more than I had expected, realizing it had been a little while since my last real meal. They sat looking lovingly at each other while doing the same. They sat there looking lovingly at each other while relaxingly making small talk. I finished I finished before them and decided to excuse myself so I could head down to Trags and take care of scoring the Bliss and Amper. I'll be right back, I mentioned as I left. Okay, so we have now succeeded at knocking out chapter frickin' 2. Look at that. Ooh, look at that. We just flew. We're at chapter 9, and you guys didn't even realize that. No. We're now actually revised through chapter 2 to the point that I could give it to other people and let them read it and then give me like their adjustment stuff. And so, obviously, since we only have 28 chapters, this will be done within the next 28 days. Feel free to hang out, you know, join along for the journey. We'll be publishing this at the end, and then, of course, I'll just start on a new book. The plan is that this will be from now on in the morning, though. I just stayed up late to take care of this tonight so we didn't lose ground with all this stuff going on. I absolutely, first of all, want to thank you guys for hanging out, for just being amazing. I'd love it if you like, subscribe, comment below, and all the great YouTuber stuff that's always asked. Outside of that, I hope you have a great weekend, and peace and very best wishes to you.